Well, let's just say I haven't been this speechless watching an anime episode in some time. And wow, Komi Can't Communicate has had a pretty wide variety of character personalities, and from communication disorders, socially awkwardness, how, even pet fetishes, like in the case of our girl here wanting to be Komi's dog. Everything has been pretty much grounded into, even though it's an extreme, you've never thought jail time. You've never thought restraining order because, well, everything seemed a little harmless even if the gazes were a little threatening. And even with an overly competitive behavior, you kick the first 5 minutes off with someone who was literally perceived as Satan at points. And somehow you make that look the most sane thing we've seen in the episode. When you truly introduce a stalker, kidnapper, murderer, suicidal tendencies, and I'm like, holy shit, Komi Can't Communicate. I think there's a couple of reasons not going the legal route probably works for this show. On the first hand, a restraining order would not stop this girl. Jail would not stop this girl. The best thing I think Tadano can hope for is for her to not want to kill him. And even with apologies and slightly after the credits, it's still not looking good for him. At the very least, you just don't want to be perceived as taking all of Komi away, else you'll probably die and be buried under the mountains. But two, because it is a comedy and the fact that she didn't fully act on the most heinous of crimes, you can say, even as the viewers watching, we're a little scared to actually punish her, so maybe being around normal people will tone down the yandere tendencies. But, yeah, that was extreme. My boy Tadano needs, U.S. president bodyguards and the tightest restraining order money can buy because this girl has a few screws loose. All the ways that this episode could go with a yandere, Tadano being actually kidnapped threatened not only just to stay quiet, to be killed, and when it was exposed, the chopsticks and just the heinous crimes, a character's just standing in the background after they leave, because Komi, bless her heart, she handled that with grace, but I'm just sitting here like, did I really just witness that? And I mentioned it, I think it was in last week's review, I don't pay attention to this show outside of when I cover it, because it's such an odd release schedule of different fan subgroups and official sites, so I'm ultimately a week ahead and a week behind certain groups who are watching this. And to not have anything pop up other than I would really enjoy this episode, bless the Komi fans' heart for not, just saying, Tadano's gonna be shoved in a closet and threatened. I'm like, holy shit. This show somehow finds a way to get more crazy, and honestly, one would say there's no way to top kidnapping life or death situations, but Komi Can't Communicate could probably throw in a diabolical scientist who destroys the world, and that's how the show ends, and I might come out saying, you know what? This school is a bunch of weirdos, but you gotta love them for it. I am very happy we have a character like this. I am very happy we have a threatening aura like this, but I can't help but say, goddamn, there is more than a few screws loose. That toolbox is empty, and that toolbox is crazy. Just explaining Komi's communication disorder nearly got our boy shanked in the throat, world's finest assassin style. Holy shit, the show is awesome. It goes from wholesome, where you have Komi standing up for herself, standing up for Tadano, saying she's not into what this girl's selling, she's missing him when he's not around, to the actual, I want to stay friends with you. Beautiful voice acting, the stuttering, the just, you felt like she never talks, right? It actually feels like a great vocal performance, which, honestly, you could argue, do you really need a top-tier voice actress for Komi when there's hardly any voice acting to be done? But moments like those really sell it on why you want to have a top-tier voice actor, because she really nails that type of role. But in terms of just the episode structure, they didn't need to go in as hard as they did. In some ways, I'm a little anxious after watching this episode. Maybe we could have split it apart a couple of episodes. But from the overly competitiveness and just I thought that was going to be the creepy kind of crazy aspect of the episode. Just the whole they're getting their physical exams and things like that. Ultimately, Komi wins a bunch, and then when she wins, she makes these oh, who says, a little more weight's bad? I'm you're not saying anything wrong, but you don't need to be competitive with Komi, goddammit. Like, this unhealthy competitiveness is not going to go over well. And then you switch over to full-on yandere, like, oh my god, like, this is, without a doubt, one of the gems of 2021. It's definitely a shame that a different site didn't license it, because it would be great to have thousands and thousands and thousands of people be able to talk about it at the same time every week. But still, it's a show that I think, just the fact that it does have such an odd release window, some people a week behind, some people a week ahead, some people 2 weeks behind. Ultimately, though, we're still seeing a wide variety of discussions, from reactions to reviews to recaps to Reddit forums, things like that. And I think that's what goes to show why Komi Can't Communicate is such a special show, that it hits the absolute absurd funny bone and fear bone. I mean, hell, you might have been thinking you're watching Maruka-chan this week with the horror of this episode. But it also has that sweet development that all the absurdities never take away from Komi and Tadano growing closer and closer, and just to see that sweet relationship blossom. I mean, on one hand, I'm scared for his life if they ever dated or anything like that, because, I mean, at that point, you gotta move to a different country, my man. But ultimately, it's a batshit wild, wholesome, scary, frightening, holy shit show. And I don't think anything could have prepared me properly for episode 4. Like, even knowing him, like, if someone posted a comment, hey, he's gonna get tied up and threatened for his life, I'd be like, okay, you're, like, reading some weird fanfics. Like, there's no way. And they actually went that hard into the episode. And I'm like, it's rare for me to be speechless, because, you know, my format for videos, I watch it, I make the thumbnail, I record, I edit, I upload, you know, so there's a little bit of space usually before I get up to record, but even making the thumbnail, I'm just like, what the hell did I just watch? And then, like, sitting here for, like, a minute before hitting record, I'm like, I don't even know how you kick off that. It's awesome, but it's frightening. And I'm still kind of speechless. Like, that doesn't happen too often. And if you follow the channel long enough, you know I'm not exaggerating. That shit was insane. I mean, at this point, I don't really have anything I necessarily hope for from Komi Can't Communicate, because the main relationship between these two is amazing. I love that there's subtle build-up and there's realistic growth for her, either talking on the phone or, you know, putting something over her face to give her that bit of privacy. But then it just introduces the most batshit insane, like, fetishes with the dog thing, to then the psycho yandere stalking, kidnapping, murder plotline here, to overly competitive. There's every type of personality in this school, and that's a little frightening but amazing, all wrapped up into one. But thoughts and feelings, let me know down below. What do you hope to see if you don't know the source material? Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new around here. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.